Yeah, people, it's here. The new Line 6 Helix Stadium XL. It's right in front of me here. It's real. It's in my studio. And today we're going to check it out, have some fun, do a kind of first impressions style video. And I'm just going to try some of the new amps, check out some of the new features, and we're just going to have a good time because this is awesome and so much fun. So yeah, as you can see, I've got the Stadium XL version over here with the beautiful expression pedal. And yeah, it's a really nice unit. You guys know, what this thing does. It's very hyped up and deservedly so because, yeah, spoiler alert, I love this thing so much. And one thing that I find really exciting about this new product is, that the first Helix has evolved for 10 years, and it's come to this place right here. And it's so awesome. And this thing is going to start off right there with some new stuff and then develop further and further into the stratosphere. So also the future for the Helix Stadium XL is very exciting. I'm very excited to see what sort of stuff they're going to add in the future, especially like the proxy cloning and stuff, which isn't available just yet. But there's enough cool new stuff that we can enjoy as of right now with the release firmware. So yeah, I'm stoked. Let's have some fun. I've got my Infinia Guitars series in my hands right now. Beautiful guitar plugged straight into the Helix Stadium XL, and that's being sent into my audio interface. And that's it for the signal chain and stuff. And I'm just on the factory presets right now, of which I've created about 5. 1A is actually a preset that I created, so that is pretty cool. But before we get started, let's see how long the boot time is. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off and then boot it back up, and then we're going to see how long it takes, okay? For the nerds out there who care about that stuff. So let's turn it off. And then I'm going to turn it back on, and we're going to see how long it will take. So it's on right now. Let's give it a minute to boot up. It's funny, when I first took this thing out of the box, it seemed so familiar. It's and that's, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that about this new platform. It's going to be very familiar. You can do all the things with it that you could with the previous generation of the Helix, but then, they're going to add more features, and it's just a great sort of upgrade and step up from the old generation. And I really like that, and I really appreciate that. And this screen is just beautiful. The graphics on it, it's very high resolution. The colors really pop. And of course, the fact that it's touchscreen is something that people have been asking for quite a long time with the Helix. Helix Stadium XL. So it's still booting up, but the presets are available here right now at the bottom. We need to wait a couple more seconds before we are done. Almost there. Almost there. And here we go. So I don't know how long that was, but that gives you an idea of how long it takes to boot up. Now, the factory presets are pretty good, if I may say so myself. As I mentioned, I created about 5 of the factory presets, 5 or 6. I don't recall the exact number. So that is cool. And 1A is actually my preset, so that's cool. I feel honored. It's the Stadium Rock rig, and it has the new Solid 100 Agoura amp in there. So the Agoura amps are the new amp models. So it's the new amp modeling tech, hyper realistic, has some cool new features as well. Yeah, and I think they sound and feel really nice. So this is in my preset, the Stadium Rock rig. Let's take a quick listen. Love it. Sounds so good, right? My goal here was just to create a preset with a good general rock sound and some cool, snapshots, because all of the factory presets have various snapshots and stuff. My guitar isn't perfectly in tune, so let's go to the tuner and tune the guitar up real quick. I really like how the tuner looks and how it behaves. Very accurate. You can also choose strobe. but I prefer the needle myself. All right. You know, these new amps feel great under the fingers, so that is wonderful. Now, if you want to know more information about the factory presets that you're trying, you can go to this thing over here, the information button, and then it has some information about the snapshots and stuff, and basic information about the guitar that was used or that it was meant for, and the playback system. So this is for studio monitors and or FR. Now, another cool feature that is new to the Stadium is the sound clip feature. So this allows you to listen to some clips that the creators of the preset have included so that you can kind of hear how the tone was meant to be heard, basically. So this is something that I recorded for this preset, just a simple riff. And let's go ahead and take a listen to how that sounds. So that's cool. You know, it allows you to take a listen to the preset without having to play yourself, and just to hear it with the guitar that it was meant for, if you know what I mean. You can also record your own clips. So that's a quite useful feature, not only for just taking a quick listen, but you can also loop the riff and then go into the preset and tweak the preset while the riff is playing. So that's really convenient. So then you can really, you know, take a listen to how the amp model behaves and sounds, for example, without getting distracted by your playing or the sound of your guitar in your hand, if you know what I mean. So that is really cool. I like that a lot. And that's a convenient thing for the factory presets. Now, of course, we've got some snapshots, which you can access by double pressing these. I have these set to bank, but you can also, you know, you can assign everything to different functions, which I really appreciate. I'm just keeping it very simple because I'm a simple player, right? So this is the main rhythm tone that I just played. Then let's go to the clean snapshot. Simple clean tone, right? The crunch tone. The lead tone. So that's a nice lead tone right there. Rhythm with a boost. For those modern chugs, clean wet, which is a more ambient clean. Rhythm mod, which is a rhythm tone with a modulation. Etc. So that's just an example of the first factory preset. Very nice. Let's go back to the preset mode. There are some more presets that I created. This Dreambient preset, which is like a very ambient preset. Beautiful. So that's another preset that I created. Badonkulous. Badonk is one of my favorite amps of the Helix platform. One of my favorite digital amps of all time, in fact. And I created this preset kind of based on Meshuggah's 8-string tone. So as you'll notice in the sound clip, there is a sound clip of my 8-string running through it so you can hear how it sounds with an 8-string, which is what it was meant for, basically. Let's take a listen. I have repeat on. You can also turn that off, of course, and stuff like that. So that is cool. That's another preset that I created. Let's see, what else did I create? Modern metal, which was meant to be a very aggressive modern metal tone. Let's take a listen to the clip. So that's a nice modern metal tone right there, very tight and genty. A Revolution, which is another preset that I created. This one goes over the different rev channels, so purple and red with rhythm, lead, crunch, clean, etc. So that's a nice showcase of the rev amps. Really nice. And yeah, so that's the factory presets, right? You can have a lot of fun with those and go in there and just experience some of the new amps and some of the new features that way yourself, which is nice. Now, of course, I have to mention the touchscreen. Again, it looks really nice. You know, the resolution is good. The colors really pop. Of course, it's very easy to use and to navigate and to move stuff around. Very responsive. So that is great. Absolutely no complaints there. And for stuff like the focus view, it's also very useful. So focus view is also a new feature. We're going to see how it sounds a bit later in this video, but it's basically amp presets within a preset, if you will. So for this amp in particular, they have like various sounds dialed in, waffled cone. And as you move this thing across the screen with the touchscreen, you can see the parameters changing accordingly. So the parameters will adjust to, you know, the preset sounds that have been dialed in. So you could see it like a sort of quick start, right? Some quick start settings to get you started, which is really clever and really cool. And of course, you can blend between the various settings by moving this thing around the focus thingy, if you will. So that is a very nice feature as well. We'll try that in a minute as we're going to build a new fresh preset. But that is really nice. And I just love the beautiful graphics. You know, it looks really great. It looks really cool to have a graphic of the gear that you're using on screen right in front of you. That's something that I've been wishing for with the Helix for many years, in fact. So back to the main screen. Of course, you can also do focus view for the effects and the pedals and stuff. So that is nice, really cool, you know, for any type of effect. And yeah, look at those beautiful graphics, man. Really beautiful. So they really did a great job there in terms of the screen and the user interface and how it looks. I mean, Helix has always been known for their user-friendly workflow and the user interface, and this just takes it to another level, right? Really nice. Of course, the unit also has Wi-Fi connectivity, which is super handy for downloading new firmware updates and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that as well. And I guess that the workflow in terms of building presets and moving stuff around is very similar, and it will be very similar to you if you have experience with the original Helix platform. Anyway, so what I want to do now is just kind of build a new preset and then play with some of the new features and see what sort of tones we can get. So let's go over here and let's go to user presets and let's do 1A, which is an empty preset, right? So here we go, a blank screen. Now let's load up one of the new amplifiers. We're going to click on the grid over here, then go to amp. And also, I love how they did this with the menus, how you can see nice graphics of the amps before you choose them. So that is really nice. You've got these different categories. So guitar amps, bass amps, legacy guitar. So all the old stuff is in there as well. Legacy bass. And I have add cab block on right now. So it's going to add a cabinet block automatically, which is cool. So let's go for something high gain, obviously, as that's what I like. One thing that is really cool that I want to show you guys is that a lot of the new amps have multiple channels inside the amp block. So the Solid 100, for example, I haven't dialed the tone in or anything, but this is the basic tone that you get when you load up that amp. You can choose the channels, so normal and overdrive, just as with a real Soldano. So that is nice. And then with the normal channel, you can go between the crunch and clean mode. So another thing that I've been asking for years, and that makes it so powerful in terms of the switching inside one preset. So if you have a Soldano preset, just as with the Stadium Rock rig that I just showed you, you can just load up one single amp block and then switch between the channels and modes and change parameters in one single preset. So that is super powerful. The more flexibility, the better, right? So I wanted to show you that. There are some other new controls that we'll take a look at in a minute. But first, let's go back and choose another amp. You know what? Let's go for the Rev 120 Purple, as I really like the Rev amps, and I've added a default cab block. So this is the default sound. We'll dial it in a second. This is with the default cab block. It's the Cali V30, the 412. It's basically a Mesa Boogie V30 4x12. That is nice, but I'm going to need to tweak the cab block a little bit. Let's add some level because I'm not getting enough level. I can also do that in the amp block, but I don't want to because I want to show you the focus view in a sec. Of course, we can choose a different mic. Let's go for a 57. And then you can change the position, of course. That sounds pretty good. You can also go into focus view and then move the mic around and change the angle. So that's straight in front of the cone, and then with a 45-degree axis. So that's really nice how you have a visual representation of what is happening in front of the speaker cab. I like that. We can try some different mics. Yeah, let's go back to the 57 for now. Of course, you can also add another cab and blend the two, etc. So that is really nice about the cab block. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to load up one of my own IRs, which I've put in here just now through the PC editor. And I already have one IR loaded up. You can make different folders and stuff, which is really nice. So these are some of my own IRs. This is my V30. Let's try that. I like how that sounds. Of course, you know, I made these IRs myself, so it's my sound. So I'm very familiar with these sounds. I like it. Let's stick with this one. It's kind of my main sound over here on the channel, my Chinese V30. Love it. I'm going to stick with that, okay? All right. Now, let's tweak this amp model a little bit before we go into the hype, which is all the way back here. That's a new feature as well. Now, let's add some drive, and we can also go to the aggression. Let's set aggression to 2. Basically adds more saturation. before we carry on, let's also turn on the input gate, which is something that I like to do on the Helix. Decay to the shortest setting. And here we go. So the input gate is on. One thing that I should mention is, you know, with the IRs, I like how you can make the sound your own and make it very personal and really, you know, dial in the sound that you want and that you've created in your own studio, if you will. The proxy stuff is going to take that one step further. The fact that I'll be able to clone my own amplifiers is just very exciting. An exciting prospect for me, right? Now, what I love about the Rev amps in the real world, as well as in the Helix Stadium XL, is that it has some really cool controls to tweak the tone. So, for example, this contour control makes it a bit more tight and pushes the mid forward in a really cool way. And then we have this bright switch. Makes it nice and aggressive. And then we also have this fat control. Adds some thickness there. I do really like that, to be honest. So that is great. Man, that sounds so good. So the Agoura amp modeling is really excellent. Really excellent. Super high quality. There's nothing about these tones that is saying to me, oh, it's not realistic, there's squirrels or whatever. It just sounds and feels perfect. And I mean that. There's nothing about this that tells me that it's fake. It's really awesome. So that is really nice. Let's try one more amp, one more of the Agoura amps. Okay, let's go for the EV Panama Red. Of course, I have the add cab block feature on, so it's going to add a cabinet. So I'm going to need to delete that because I already have the IR in the chain. We're going to have to tweak the default settings. But before we do that, let's try the focus view settings. So right now it's set to grunt red. Let's try chaos red. Wow. Court red. It's a bit more scooped. Code red. Kaiju red. So you can basically choose a setting that you like the most and then tweak from there. So I'm just going to start in the middle with the grunt red. Okay, so what I'd like to do is turn down the master volume just to lessen the impact that the power tubes are going to have on the sound, because when you crank the master volume, it's going to get a little bit more squishy and muddy and stuff. Cool. Let's add some drive. Lower the master volume a touch and raise the presence a little bit. Let's raise the gain a little bit more even and raise the presence a little bit more. Almost there. Let's raise the presence even more. Lower the mids a little bit and raise the gain a little bit more. Really cool. So that's a good setting for a thick, tight, and modern rhythm tone, right? Now, let's try the hype control. What the hype control does is basically make the amp a little bit less realistic and polish it in certain various ways, in fact, to maybe make it sound a bit more pleasant and make it respond and feel a little bit more pleasant, not more realistic, but a bit more polished, like some other modeling platforms are. So let's see what that hype control does with this particular amp model, so the EV Panama Red. Okay, let's turn it on. So it starts to sound a little bit more idealized, less squishy, a bit less odd, and less organic. And it changes the feel and the sound. Let's go back to 0. So it kind of sounds like mixed and mastered, if you will. That's actually a really nice feature. If you're not really feeling how the amp feels and responds, if it's maybe a little bit too quirky for you, stuff like that, then you can go into the amp menu, go to the hype control, and see if that improves the tone a little bit for you. In this case, I like what it's doing, actually, so that's really nice, even though it might not be as realistic as with it turned off. So yeah, let's stick to, let's say, around 3-ish. Now, I haven't loaded in my own EVH IR yet, but I do have a greenback in here. So let's try that with this amp model. I like that a lot. Really nice. So I'm a simple guy. This would usually suffice for me. But just for fun, let's add a couple effects. Let's add a whammy pedal. Let's add a poly wham up front. It's going to be assigned to the foot pedal, of course. Expression pedal 2. There we go. So I've assigned the poly wham effects to the expression pedal. Cool, that's in there. Let's add some reverb. Let's go for the dynamic bloom. And you know, you can add more effects. Let's do a modulation effect. Let's go for the phaser. And you can keep going and keep going, and this video is becoming way too long. So I'm having a lot of fun with this thing. I think it sounds great. The new amps are really good, like really good. I can't wait to try what they're going to add in the future, but there's a very nice selection to begin with for the Agoura amps. So that is awesome. I like how you can choose the different channels. In the case of the Brit 2203 master volume, you can choose the jack that you're going into. I really like the hype control a lot. The information for the presets is very handy. The sound clip, I could go on and on and on. So it's a great starting point for this new platform. I'm excited where they're going to take this. I'm very excited about the proxy stuff, especially because I like cloning my own amps and really making the tone my own in that way. So I'm super excited for that. Of course, I'm going to do videos on that once that rolls out. I have no idea when, just as you guys, but we'll see. So yeah, this was just like a quick, raw and dirty kind of first impressions video to show you some of the stuff and to let you hear some of the stuff that's in here right now. I think the Line 6 is doing a great job with this. So congrats to them for making this awesome unit and for this wonderful new start. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything in specific that you would like to see me do with this unit? I'd love to know, so let me know. Also, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to get a Helix Stadium for yourself, please use my affiliate link for Thomann or Sweetwater, as that will support the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.